A chance to meet with the owner of a Kent trucking business, Spirit Transport Systems, Curt Nuccitelli, the owner of one of these trucking companies, who's become a private plaintiff in the lawsuit against the income tax, which was filed last week in Klickitat County Superior Court. This is the one that is led by Citizen Action Defense Fund. And you've got former Attorney General Rob McKenna and former State Supreme Court Justice Phil Talmadge, a Democrat, that have joined in as sort of the legal spearheads on this campaign against the income tax. But this gentleman from this trucking company in Kent is, again, one of the three private plaintiffs that have joined onto this lawsuit. So I had an opportunity to tour that business today and find out why he's willing to really put himself out there. And I can't wait to share some of that interview with you. So let's dive in. Today, I met with one of the plaintiffs, met in person with Curt Nuccitelli, who is worried that Washington's new income tax is going to make it even harder for him to stay in business. He owns Spirit Transport Systems Incorporated out of the Kent Valley. He's got 14 employees, and he's been in business now for more than 20 years. They move goods from the ports of Seattle and Tacoma, and it's an industry where competition is pretty intense, and raising prices isn't always an option. And sometimes you're also locked into contracts for with some of the folks that you work with, some of your shippers, for fuel. And remember what's happening with the prices of diesel here in the state of Washington. I didn't check the prices today with AAA Washington, but last I checked, it was close to $7 an hour, or $7 an hour, $7 per gallon for the price of diesel. For truckers, independent truckers, that's a huge hit. So he toured me around some of his property and shared with me that he's coming off a couple of really lean years.
But the
Okay.
reality is the fact that you see all them sitting here means that we're not that busy because they should be underneath containers sitting at warehouses somewhere.
Mm.
So this is another lean year after the last two that we've had. So
Yeah.
yeah, so this income tax comes into play where I won't be able to carry these losses forward. That's a huge, huge hit for us.
Now, back in the office, Mr. Nuccitelli told me that because his company's profits are taxed on personal income, a tax increase on him, the income tax, could impact his business directly depending on the year. And that can mean he doesn't make as much money to bring home for himself. He can't give his employees raises. He refers to them all as family. He says, when you've got a small company like that, we're all family. I want to take care of these people. I want to keep my good people. And maybe I can't give them a raise. I can't give them improved benefits that I want to. He shared also that he recently had to pay $100,000 to repair a sewer pipe in his facility's parking lot. Didn't think he should have to pay that to the city or county, but he was forced to do that. And something like that is a huge hit to a small business. So I asked him specifically why he decided to get involved as a plaintiff in the legal challenge to the income tax, knowing this is going to be a very long and very public fight.
Well, when I heard about it and understood that one, it was against the Washington State Constitution, that was the primary reason that kind of piqued my interest in understanding what was going on. And then also the narrative out there, just calling it a millionaire's tax for me, again, just kind of painting a narrative, kind of pulling on heartstrings. And I was that guy a decade or so ago where I would have just jumped on board and said, yes, let's make sure, the rich are paying their fair share. But the reality is, this would impact small businesses like myself. This would impact my family, my ability to take care of my employees, to have a, proper compensation, good benefit packages. So this is uh, really hurts the small business, who we should be supporting. And then there's lean years and there's fat years. And so the fat years, it's going to really, impact our cash. And then the other tenet of the bill is that you can't carry loss years forward. So therefore, on the years that are lean, I wouldn't be able to carry that forward into some future prosperous years. So, and that's a huge deal as well.
He explained to me also that taxes on his business are making it increasingly difficult to be profitable, even without a pending income tax. He talked about property taxes. He's got a big warehouse and office space, and then a big back lot for a bunch of his equipment. Of course, business and occupation taxes that have gone up, taxes with the city of Kent, because he goes in and out of the ports of Seattle and Tacoma. There's a tax base there that's owed. And of course, his drivers as well. And those costs have been going up with increasing fuel prices. So he said it is admittedly a struggle.
Washington State is not a very business friendly environment. So, and I've heard, mixed messages that we're not in the top worst states of the country, but the reality is, the taxes that we pay, B&O taxes, Department of Revenue taxes, payroll taxes, property taxes, personal property taxes. There's a huge, probably close to 50 cents on every dollar that goes to taxes already. So this would be a huge, huge hit for us to be able to remain uh, prosperous and competitive. And it really puts us at a disadvantage. And actually, I think it really favors some of these big corporations because if small businesses keep getting shut down because we can't afford it, then that means the market share is going to go to these bigger companies. So that's it just makes it very, very difficult to do business and run a good business that takes care of its people. For me, I don't need my employees struggling to make ends meet. They should be able to make a livable wage working for me, full-time job where they don't have to be have that added stress of not being able to pay their bills. So for me to have the ability for me to be able to increase their salaries, to have a more robust benefit package and other perks that come along with working for Spirit Transport, that's one of the main foundations that I opened this company on was to treat my people well.
Now, the lawsuit filed by Citizen Action Defense Fund includes two other couples who are plaintiffs in the case. There's farmers and business groups, including the NFIB, the Building Industry Association of Washington. And the case basically argues that this policy is in direct violation of the Washington state constitution. The tax is scheduled to take effect, I remind you, in 2028, so we're still a couple of years out, though the future depends on the outcome, of course, of the legal challenge, which has been filed in Klickitat County Superior Court. So that is it for today's episode of Washington in Focus Daily. As always, I thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Also appreciate and read your comments. Check out our Center Square Washington page for more stories like this.